Welcome to Catch You Outdoors, presented by the Waypoint Podcast Network at waypointtv.com. I'm your host, Captain Rob Modes, reporting to listeners each week from the fabulous Florida Keys. This podcast is centered around the great outdoors, especially down this way in the most southern regions of the continental U.S. So kick back for the next 40 minutes or so and get a taste of my Florida. This week's episode number 87, Boat Drinks. But first, some news in the weekly fishing report from the past podcast about boats and boat food. Yeah, this is obviously a theme. I received several notes about not selling my kayaks. All were well received. I'm keeping them through the summer so that guests can use them if needed down in Pennycamp State Park. But after that, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Clearly, much more of my time is being spent on board the Mako. Honestly, because I love the ability to explore those far away from the maddening crowd places. I mean, you can really get away in Florida Bay. You can run all the way up to the Everglades National Park. Pretty cool. So we'll see. Also, I want to let it be known that there's a fantastic kayak rental and tour company right across the street from me. So, I mean, I can always go over there and get a kayak. It's not like... Yeah, exactly. So I got to weigh this out. About food in previous, yes, chicken touched the nerve. Fried chicken. And some people didn't understand my dislike of Vienna sausages. I'm sorry. I mean, everyone has likes and dislikes. I just don't care for them. Heck, my mom and dad had liver for dinner about twice a month. Ugh. Yeah, no way for me. But anyway, thanks for the notes. I do appreciate it. Fishing report. On Tuesday, the 16th, weather once again was just beautiful. We are quickly moving into a summer and summer patterns. In the morning, light showers giving way when the sun comes up to clear skies, some little puffy clouds. And then midday, we start to get cloud ridge along the islands. So in other words, you can actually make out the outline of the entire Florida Keys. It'll just have a ridge of clouds on it. And those, depending on wind direction and moisture in the air, will start to develop into afternoon storms. And then after the storms are over, it gets a little bit cooler, a little less humidity toward evening, and you can kind of sit outside and have your cocktail. And then the whole process starts over again. So that's kind of what's going on, right? It just, I mean, we're getting into late May now, so it just suddenly hit. Tides are also getting a tiny bit higher now, thanks to the position of the moon and the sun. So as the earth tilts itself back down toward Mr. Sunshine, for all you people up north, it also does it down here in a more extreme way. So we have the influence of the moon and the sun together moving water. So that brings the water table up a little bit. I fished in Florida Bay above Key Largo and got a good number of sea trout, but all were under the slot on Tuesday. Lots of jacks, ladyfish. I managed to fight it out with 2 sharks, a small blacktip, and a good-sized bull. I'd say the bull was probably 4 to 5 feet, which would probably put him in the 35 to 45-pound range, maybe 50. I don't know. On light tackle, that was a grin. And everything was on artificial. I've been sight casting the sharks when they show up, just seeing what they'll do. Most will ignore. Some will take. Today, Sunday, when I'm recording this, did a short trip this morning. We're starting to get a little bit of weather in the early afternoon, as I just explained. So I've been doing these mornings from about 7 to 11 and then getting my butt back to the dock. This will probably go on till Wednesday. Then after that, they're calling for maybe a little bit drier weather, but no, it's Florida. They don't know. They pretend. No offense to my meteorologist friends, but I know you're pretending. More sea trout this time, 6 big ones. I didn't keep them, so I didn't measure them, but I'm guessing 16 to 18, somewhere in that ballpark. Nice trout, all in one spot. And then a lot of shorts, probably caught altogether 15 or so. Some of them as tiny as 7 or 8 inches, and then a few at 13 or 14, under the slot. But it was a trout day and a half on artificial. Ladies and jacks mixed in. And this time it was kind of strange. This morning, no, I did not see a single shark this morning on any of my stops, and that's very rare. Normally you stop and you catch a few fish, causes a disturbance in the water. You're going to get a shark coming around just to see what's up. I have yet to have one eat one I've put back. I find that interesting. They don't seem terribly interested in jacks and ladies and trout. I don't know. Kind of weird, because if you do that anywhere else, like with a snook or something, they'll eat the snook in a heartbeat. Fishing report from the Keys has suddenly turned into tarpon talk. Actually, it already started as tarpon talk. It's just getting more severe now. It's like, whoa, tarpon everywhere, especially in the lower Keys, down from Islamorada south into Big Pine. The reports are really pretty outstanding, all the way up to Cape Sable and, Flamingo up that way. It's been pretty wild. I've seen a few. I haven't been able to get a shot at one, but I'm working at it. Hopefully I will. Bonefish have shown up on the flats on the outside areas of Key Largo. Yep, saw a school and didn't get a single fish. The artificials just, I'm going to drag the fly back out there. I left the fly in the garage this morning. I probably should have taken it with me, but I know that live shrimp hooked by the tail on a very small jig works wonders on bonefish on the flat. So I'm going to have to alter my total artificial thing and possibly just start getting involved and putting a little shrimp on the end of a small jig and tossing that at them. I think that might work better. Wasn't any problem getting to them. They weren't running away. As long as you sat still and waited for, you can't chase them around on the flats. They'll disappear. But if you just sit still and wait, the schools will come by. So that was pretty cool. You need stealth though. Big time stealth. Be quiet as you can. Poling is good. Trolling motor to get you where you want to be. But after that, I wouldn't turn it on. They're in shallow where the bottom's kind of that funny marl looking stuff. It's hard to describe. It's kind of a sandy grass mix. And then there's sandy spots with grass, sheets of grass, or turtle grass. They've been working those areas too. So hopefully that'll get better. Sargassum has once again been in the local headlines down this way, not to the level of the supposed giant blob, but I understand it's out there. There have been several captains that have reported areas in the Atlantic that you cannot fish. It's so thick. Way out. I'm sorry, I don't have mileage or whatnot. If I'm going to fish at all, I'm fishing the reefs within 6 or 7 miles of the shore. So these are the guys that go way, way, way out for trolling and stuff. And apparently they're running out. As I hear more, I'll let you know what's going on. We've had quite a bit of it in our boat ramp here in the local neighborhood because we face east into Largo Sound. So when the wind blows east and the high tide comes in, it brings sargassum. It's caused a bit of a problem with launching a boat. There are times when I have to consider going across the street over to the Caribbean Club launch and putting the boat in there. It's really too bad they serve beer, but I'm just kidding. Hopefully it'll get better. I'm not kidding. Hopefully it will get better. On the reef, same old. Lots of yellowtail snapper along with muttons grouper, and then odds and ends. And when I mean odds and ends, I mean, like I said before, things that I have trouble identifying. I'm hoping to get back out there soon. The breeze has been a little bit too much out of the east-northeast, and so it kind of makes for a kind of a wicked little chop that a larger boat can handle, but a flats boat is not fun. So, and I've seen some fantastic photos of wahoo. Some really nice wahoo. Yum. Clearly my favorite fish to eat down here is wahoo. No doubt about it. Others are good, but that's my favorite. So there you go. Okay, we did boats, we did boat food, and now we're doing boat drinks. Yeah, it had to happen. Are you sensing a pattern? I might come up with one more boat, but I haven't really had time to think about it. But it's been kind of a weird, busy week. I had a doctor's appointment over in Fort Myers, and Janelle flew out to San Antonio, so I took her up to the airport and spent the night up in Fort Lauderdale so she could catch a 5 a.m. flight. There's no way in heck I'm leaving down here at 2 in the morning to get her up there in time for a 5 a.m. flight, so we went up and spent the night. So it's been kind of busy, but I'll work on it. There's got to be one more boat thing in there, I would think. Boat food, boat drinks, yeah. However, I'm going to vary this a bit with extra content to fill the 40 minutes, so boat drinks are tough. Yeah, I mean, really, what do you put on a boat? Water, right? Gatorade. I know. There's beer and stuff like that. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, but you got to be, particularly careful when you start discussing that kind of stuff. I guess I should say it right up front. I'm sure I have it in my text. I put a lot of notes together for this one. I do not condone drinking and driving a boat, period. Okay? Just so you know. Be a good captain. Boat drinks took on a whole new meaning years ago, thanks to Mr. Jimmy Buffett. He introduced a song called Boat Drinks. And in this version, it was more about missing boat drinks at the bar and along beaches, and missing boats and missing warm weather and missing the sand. And it's cold up north. And all of a sudden, they're shooting holes in their freezers and they're watching hockey on TV. And, that song was basically, give me a boat drink. Give me something that reminds me of being way down south, especially in the Florida Keys where Buffett hung out for a long time. And so I kind of get that. So that's what Boat Drinks, the song, was about. This is more about just the crazy drinks and things that are on boats and should be on boats, and also all the concoctions. So we're going to step off the boat. We're going to step to the docks, and we're going to cover some of my favorites to tell you this with some recipes. So we get to that point, grab a pencil, or you can email me and I'll be happy to send you formulas and things like that. So anyway, but I thought it was interesting. The frozen concoction had to have alcohol in it for the Boat Drink song. And provided you're over 21, you should, I think the best of all relatable drinks in the Florida Keys and all islands of the Caribbean, just about anywhere, is a drink called the pina colada. And that is just, to me, that is the end all be all of boat drinks. Labeled not on a boat now. This is just boat drinks as Jimmy Buffett used in the song. The pina colada is basically, just delicious. It's frozen. It has a floater on top. If you put a floater of dark rum on top, and then you put a cherry on top of that, and man, you're just home free. I can't think of anything better in the world of tourist drinks, because they usually serve them up in like a coconut or something that, with an umbrella in it. So it looks really tropical. And that's why I call it the classic tourist drink. But I enjoy them, tourist or no tourist. I love pina coladas. I think they're wonderful. However, this podcast subject is more about what's appropriate on a boat. So that's where I want to go first with this. There are laws about drinking and boating down here. If you don't, you need to look it up. I'll get to that in a little bit, but in no way do I, again, condone drinking and driving a vessel of any kind or cars. You can get arrested in Key West for intoxication on a bicycle, so keep that in mind. That is a moving vehicle violation. Yes, as funny as it sounds, it's something you don't want to get yourself involved in, that's for sure. So what is the most important boat drink? You get three guesses. Are you ready? It's simple. If you said water, ding, 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 you win. Boating safety folks recommend having at least 1 gallon per person of drinking water on board the boat per day that you plan to be out on the boat. 1 gallon, man, that's a lot of water, more than you think it is. The thinking here is that if you get stranded, break down, out of gas, et cetera, the last thing you want to be out of is water while you wait for help. So let me put this in perspective for you, just so you understand the gallon part. It kind of surprised me because I went and looked it up. The ounces thing. In the world of bottled water, like Zephyr Hills or Dasani or public spring water, when you buy a case of bottled water, the average bottle of water is around 16 fluid ounces. If you look at it, sometimes it'll be 16.3 or, but generally right around 16 ounces is what's in each one of those bottles. A gallon of water is 128 fluid ounces. So you do the math. That equals 8 bottles of water. That's a lot of water per person, per day, 8 bottles. I go out for very short trips and take 3 or 4. So, and I usually come home with 2, because I'm busy. I'm casting. And all of a sudden, I realize how thirsty I am. Like, good grief, I should definitely get a bottle of water in me. So, that, just think of that. You got a bunch of people on the boat and you're out in a fairly good sized boat, you and say 5 others or 6 others. That's a lot of water bottles. It might be best if you start and break it down and maybe use the gallon water bottles, I would have to say. And down here in Florida, of course, the more you sweat, the more you need. So always keep that. This is just an average of what they're saying. They just threw this out there for boating in general, not specifically for the hot, sweaty days down here in Florida. So it might be easier, and I'm sure it'll be cheaper if you just do gallon jugs of water, which, by the way, you can buy gallon jugs. You can also fill them yourself, which would make it even more economical. But keep it in mind, if you're fishing in the areas that I fish in, the remote areas, if you're going to travel into the Everglades National Park, if you're going to go into the small islands, you might run aground. You might have an engine problem. It could be anything, and you might be there all the way till tomorrow before somebody can actually get to you and rescue you. So a gallon of water per person per day. If you take a jug, just take those nice little Yeti glasses they got out there, those fully insulated glasses, and just pour it into that. Put some ice in the cooler, throw ice in there, and pour it over ice. I can't think of anything more quenching. However, I will point out, since I just said that out loud, most people recommend a room temperature water rather than ice cold water for quenching thirst and for keeping you out of trouble when you're out in the outdoors. Cool water's fine. Water on ice is fine, but icy water, I don't think your body digests it as well as it does room temperature. I think that's what it's all about. I did not look that up. I just took that off the top of my head, but I believe that's the reason they give for that. And I admit I'm guilty of the water rule. So I'm not, I'm preaching to the choir. You guys out there, I might, like I said, I might drink one or two in a morning out there, and I know I should have more. But there are other drinks in the cooler too, All right, let's talk about those other things rather. Gatorade. Let's move on to sports drinks like Gatorade and Powerade. Two of them are very popular. They can be found on just about any boat, including mine. When I said I take water, I'll take 3 or 4 bottles of water, of which I probably drink 1 or 2, and I always take at least 1 bottle of Gatorade. This has become clearly a crazy subject because Gatorade alone, there's 14 flavors. I was asking somebody, okay, what's your favorite flavor? And he said, I don't know. I just like the green stuff. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what the green stuff is. Probably lime of some kind, but that was his. Anyway, 14 flavors. They've had as many, I looked this up, they've had as many of 24 different flavors over 5 different formulas. Now, flavors come and go, so this number could be higher or lower. But as of right now, if I went online to order, which is kind of the way I went and looked at it, I could find 14 different flavors. What's the favorite? Oddly enough, lemon lime, the one that guy told me. I'm assuming that's what the greenish yellowy color one is lemon lime, and orange. Those are the 2 most popular flavors in Gatorade. I did not look up Powerade. I just looked up the Gatorade side. So lemon lime and orange. And then third is fruit punch. And I don't know if well, I'm not young. If I was really young, I'd probably drink fruit punch like crazy if it were Gatorade. To me, it's awfully sweet. And if you're hot and sweaty, sweet just doesn't seem to jive with me, but I'm an old dude. So for youngsters, I think if you packed fruit punch, Gatorade, you'd probably be able to keep the kids pretty well saturated, so to speak. And it's funny because I don't really think of any of those when it comes to buying Gatorade for myself, for the boat. And I like Glacier Blue. It's that really light blue color. I like the way that tastes. I'm not sure what Glacier Blue is supposed to be, but anyway. Raspberry lemonade and strawberry lemonade. Both of those are kind of pink in color, light pink. I like those. Now, if they bring out special flavors like mango and weirdness like that, I'll do that. I really will. But for all intents and purposes, my number 1 is going to be something that's light blue, and the Glacier Blue or Ice Blue, I think they call one of them Ice Blue, is where I go. I don't worry about the 5 different types. I'm not going to go for sugar-free. I can tell you that right now. No, I'm not worried about whatever the bad stuff. I'm after electrolytes. I'm after electrolytes and salt, sodium. That's, the end all be all of this is what sports drinks are all about. It's all about sodium. When Gatorade got its start at the University of Florida, it's called Gatorade because it was made for the football players, the Gators, and it was a high sodium electrolyte drink that the guys on the field could drink and give them a boost and give them a oomph, And in Florida, you can imagine, like in a boat, you got a breeze, right? Can you imagine playing in the swamp? By the way, that's what they call the arena, the playing surface. It's called the stadium is called the swamp. The swamp is a swamp, man. It's like you're going to die in there. If you've never been in there on a hot day, man, that's really a ton of fun. Then anyway, So now that's the way it is with most sports drinks. Almost all of them have some degree of sodium in them, and quite a bit, along with electrolytes to help give you that extra boost that you need during the day when it's really, really hot. Now, do sports drinks make you thirsty? They do me. So I looked it up. They do. The consensus is by everybody that's sampled them and scientifically talks about them. Yes, if you're drinking sodium, it's going to make you thirsty when you finish. And that forces you to drink more, which is the whole idea behind sports drinks, is to be able to satiate you continuously so you don't ever just put it down and walk away from it like you can with a bottle of water. So if you just drink water, it's a really good idea, though, to supplement yourself. So here's the deal. I drink water, the Gatorade for me, the one Gatorade is like a fallback. If I start feeling kind of, and I just need a pick me up to kind of get going, then it's going to be the one drink that I'll go after when I'm not quite right. But most of the time I'm just drinking water, and I know to drink enough water to keep myself, floating, so to speak. But as a supplement, I use pretzels. Yep. The big cigar-like sticks or the little mini classic pretzels. The twisty ones. And I checked the package for the most salt content per serving. I do not shy away. Remember, this is not home food. This is boat food. This is something that you put on the boat to supplement the water. You eat pretzels. And at the same time, you're getting a little bit of a nourishment kind of factor. So you're not out there with a growling stomach thinking, maybe I should stop for lunch, that kind of thing. I tend to go with Rolled Gold and Snyder's. And both, in my opinion, are great pretzels. The Snyder's, the Rolled Golds are the ones I get for the big cigar-shaped ones because they are absolutely covered in salt. And then the Snyder's, the little guys, are salty. They're not quite as thick in salt as a Rolled Gold, but they're pop them in your mouth, which is really great on a boat. When you're fishing, it's hard to hang on to that stick unless you stick it in your mouth like a cigar, and even then it's going to break or fall off or whatever. It's much, much easier to eat the small ones and pop them in. But that's my supplemental salt. If I'm just drinking water, I usually do that. And I mentioned the Gatorade. I made a note of this. Do you know when that was invented for the University of Florida? It was 1965. I had no idea it went back that long. And by the way, you will not find Powerade for sale at the Swamp. just so you know. Okay, so there you go. That's the two main things on a boat: water and some sort of power drink. And if you're going to drink a lot of water, you should have some sort of salt supplement. I don't know what, like peanuts would be salty. Just think along those lines. If there's some kind of snack that you can eat that's got a lot of salt in it, then that might be something you want to add if you are purely a water drinker. If not, just add a couple bottles of Gatorade to your trip, and you've got that part taken care of as well. Okay, next up, alcohol. That would be a no in most cases. The first thing to consider is the legality of drinking alcohol while boating. All right? So let me do the science thing first. The legal limit for being intoxicated in Florida is 0.08, BAC they call it. That's blood alcohol concentration. So we'll just call it 0.08. Everybody pretty much knows what the 0.0 stuff stands for. In Florida, it's 0.08. There are many factors related to hitting that point, obviously including how many drinks you've had, how much you weigh, how much food you've recently eaten, and whether you're male or female. I didn't know that. I looked it up. Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense. Males are, and women aren't, so they don't handle the alcohol as well as men do. A male of about 180 pounds can handle 2 beers, but not 3 in most cases, and still be considered a person above the BAC of 0.08. 2 beers. That's 2 beers, kind of like you drink a beer and then you drink another beer. You will probably be at about 0.06 from what I looked up. And by the way, some states that's legally drunk. In Florida, it's not. So 0.08. Rules. The driver of a boat, also known as the pilot or the captain, cannot drink. Period. Passengers can. Passengers can have an open carry on a boat. Yep, they can ride around with a beer in their hand that's open or a drink that's open or whatever. The captain cannot drink. You're not even supposed to have the 1 or 2 beers. Please keep that in mind. If you get stopped and you've been drinking a beer, you're in trouble because you're the captain. You're in charge. So what I'm saying is it's legal for others, but not you driving the boat. Save it for the dock, the driveway while you're washing down your boat. But when I came home from my charters, my lovely wife would meet me outside. You know, I got the hose and the soap and I'm working. She come out there and she's made me a great big rum drink. Yeah, man, that looks delicious. So save it for the dock, save it for the driveway. And also let it be known that the safety of your people is all about you, the captain. Drunks are no fun on a boat. A great many accidental injuries and deaths occur while boating due to alcohol. Too many, in fact. Yeah, in my opinion, way too many. That will take the fun right out of your day, week, or year, or possibly years. So remember, as the captain of the ship, you're ultimately responsible for your crew. So try to keep a tight ship. I had to say that. I'm sorry. Okay, wipe your grins off your face. I know that was funny. Also note, alcoholic drinks dehydrate the body. Okay, they're diuretic. They cause your body to remove fluids via the renal system. That'd be your kidneys, uterus, and bladder. Basically, the more you drink, the less water is going to do for you. And basically, the rule of thumb for drinking, for those, these party drinkers, you see these guys that drink and you're like, how can he drink that much alcohol and still be walking around? Because he's drinking enough water to go along with it. Or she. Let's not just pick on the guys. The gals do this too. You add water. Well, on a boat, you can't really do that because the sun is dehydrating you faster than you can hydrate yourself. So, and especially on a hot day. So keep in mind that alcohol will dry you out and there's almost no catching up. So, got it? Okay, good. All right, I'm going to step off the box now for just a little bit. All right, let's go to the fun stuff now. Let's go to the land-based boat drinks. All right, everybody ready? I mentioned earlier my favorite will be the frozen pina colada. Yep, that's the best of boat drink selections for me personally at the old bar. But there are many, many more. So let's have a little fun with this and give up some concoctions for your future enjoyment. I'm going to kind of just run these out there. I'm a closet bartender. I love doing bartending at home when guests come over. I like creating drinks and making stuff, and it's really a lot of fun. And I'll pat myself on the back. I'm getting better and better at it. I used to just put vodka on the rocks and put 2 olives on top, which is essentially the Captain Rob cocktail at home. But it's like, okay, that's boring. And I live in the islands now. You got to kind of get into whatever. In a word, boaters that have adult drinks after boating refer to them as docktails. All right, so let's skip the boat drink part. Let's move right on to docktails. And I like that. It's not really a boat drink. It's a dock drink. There might be a song in that. Okay, let's start with what I believe to be true docktails. Number 1 in my room. Now, I'm casting out the pina colada for now. All right, we're going to do the number 1. We're going to do 1 through 4. I think I wrote down the painkiller. Why this one? Well, the history of the painkiller comes from a purely nautical location. It was created in the 1970s at the Soggy Dollar Bar at White Bay, located on the island of Jos van Dyke in the British Virgin Islands. Originally, Cruisin' Rum was used for the drink, but changed to Pusser's due to the better flavor, and I can attest to that. Pusser's is a really delicious rum, dark rum. The formula stayed a mystery for years until the founder of Pusser's Rum, Charles Tobias, spent time and money to figure it out, which I like. They wouldn't even tell him. What a riot. It's not very complicated, though. As a matter of fact, as far as impressing your friends with a mix, this is a good one because it does not take a lot to get it done. Now, I have some variations here over what you'll read, so I'll do it the way I fix it for you. You got to have Pusser's Rum. Get that at any liquor store. Pineapple juice, orange juice, and cream of coconut. Cream of coconut can be found in the grocery store, comes in a can. They usually put it over in the juice aisle, typically is where you find it. You need 2 ounces of rum, 4 ounces of pineapple juice, 1 ounce of orange juice, and 1 ounce of cream of coconut. Mix and pour over ice into a special painkiller tin cup. Okay, you can order those cups online. If you just go look for painkiller cups on Amazon, it's crazy how many there are. If not, you can use a French working glass. That's also known as a double old-fashioned glass. Those are those big, bulky glasses with the ribs all the way around the outside. Originally, they were called French working glasses, and I found those online too, but now for some reason, the double old-fashioned glass has taken on the moniker. Now, here's the variation that I do with those ingredients. I mix it in a shaker, in a cocktail shaker. So what I do is I put a few cubes of ice in the cocktail shaker, and then I put ice in the tin cup. Not a lot of ice, about maybe half full. You don't want to go real wild with a lot of cubes. So in the cocktail shaker, you add the ingredients, the 2 ounces of rum, 4 ounces of pineapple juice, 1 ounce of orange juice, and 1 ounce of cream of coconut. And then you shake that thing vigorously in a cocktail shaker. Pop the lid off and sift it in. Don't pour the old ice in there. Just basically strain it into the glass. When you do this, instead of just stirring with a spoon, which is how some people make this concoction, it gives it a foaminess that's just freaking delicious. So that's where I go with that. You can break a little nutmeg on top. I don't do that, but if you have any nutmeg, you can put a little nutmeg on top. That is a traditional thing you'll find in a lot of island restaurants. But there you go. I just made my mouth water. What time is it? It's a little after 2. I got to wait a little longer. Number 2, the original daiquiri. Thank you, Ernest Hemingway, for this one. I'd have to consider it to be, if for nothing else, Hemingway a serious boater and a fisherman. So because of his connection to Key West, his connection to Cuba, his connection to fishing for the biggest fish he could possibly find, boating and all that stuff, you have to put this into the Docktail list. In his travels, he would visit Cuba quite a bit, and he quickly became a lover of daiquiris at that location. That's where they started. His favorite bartender, Constantino, I'm going to try to say this guy's last name, Constantino Ribliagua of the El Floridita, I know what that is, in Havana, a very popular bar in Havana, created the Hemingway daiquiri, and he called it locally the Papa Double, or Hemingway Special, Papa Double, or Hemingway Special. It was a hit not only with Hemingway, but many of the patrons who showed up there. It got to a point where the bartender, Constantino, was making nothing but those from what I read. And years later, having had a number of daiquiris, it's clearly my favorite too. Here's your recipe. 2 ounces of light rum. You want the silver rum, none of the dark stuff and none of the gold stuff, silver. A ½ ounce of maraschino liqueur, ½ ounce of freshly squeezed grapefruit juice, 3/4 of an ounce of freshly squeezed lime juice, and a 1/4 ounce of simple syrup. So, all the ingredients in a cocktail shaker of ice, shake well, and strain into a cocktail glass. This would be like a margarita glass, a martini glass, something like that is what's normally it's poured into. So, 2 ounces of light rum, ½ ounce of maraschino liqueur. You can get that just about at any of the bigger liquor stores. A ½ ounce of freshly squeezed grapefruit. That's important that it's freshly squeezed. It's a big deal. 3/4 of an ounce of freshly squeezed lime juice, and then a 1/4 of simple syrup. So sometimes people go, what's simple syrup? Where the hell do you get that stuff? What is that? It's sugar water. It's heavy-duty sugar water. If you lived in Kentucky like I did, you know all about it because mint juleps have it in it. But you can get bottles of simple syrup at Publix. It's in the aisle. You find the margarita mix and all that stuff. You can get a little bottle of it right there, or you can create your own. Gosh, I think it's 1 part sugar to 4 parts water, something like that. Or is it 4 parts sugar to 1 part water? Might be the other way around. And you boil it, get it good and hot on the stove, stirring and stirring and stirring, and then cool it off, and then you have simple syrup. So there you go. Sweet tea, baby. If you live in the South and you drink sweet tea, it's got simple syrup in it. That's what makes it taste so good. So there you go. Number 3, frozen pina colada. I told you I'd get to that. This one's a big one here in the islands. Every bar has a version, and most serve it out of one of those big pre-made dispensers behind the bar. That is not a problem, really. According to the bartenders that I've talked to, especially the one at the Lorelei in Islamorada, where I typically get my pina coladas, they pre-mix it themselves. So in other words, that machine that's got all the ice and the crushed stuff in there, it's not just ordered from a company and they just pour it in there. They actually make it up, and they add their own ingredients to it to make the taste differently or better. So there may be little spices added and things. She would not go into what was in theirs, so she wasn't going to tell me that. And then they use special rum, usually Bacardi, she said, almost always Bacardi. They won't use like a house rum or a lesser rum. They'll go for the whole thing, which is why you pay more for it. So there you go. And then they add floaters on top, which is a bit of dark rum to the top. And then, of course, you get the little cherry. I make a very simple version myself. Bacardi makes a frozen mix you can find in the frozen juice areas of the grocery store. So you go there where the frozen orange juice is and all that kind of, you'll see these cocktail drinks that Bacardi makes, strawberry, all kinds of stuff. They have a pina colada mix. So you put it in the blender, you add ice, white rum, and there you go. Let it rip. You get this creamy, foamy pina colada right before your eyes, and it's really, really simple. Pour it into a glass and have at it. I can't think of anything more fun when sitting at poolside in the Keys, at a Keys resort, on a beach, on a hot, sunny day. I mean, really and truly, it's just, for me, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of, I won't say, well, it's close to the end all be all. I really, really like them a lot. And it's nice to be able to buy a premix at the store and make it yourself without a lot of trouble or, putting a lot of stuff into it. You can hand make one. I'm not going to go into it here, but there are lots of ingredients that you need, and you can actually create one on your own with all kinds of fun things in the recipe. Number 4, last but not least. So far, it's been rum, and more rum. Yeah, where's all the rum gone? Yeah, I know. I saw that movie too. So let's go with tequila. The margarita has to be mentioned thanks to the Florida Keys to be considered the likely location of Margaritaville. Perhaps so, but Buffett insists that it's pretty much a location in your mind with beaches and breezes and palm trees. You get the idea, so... But the margarita is extremely popular down here. I don't know if it's because of him or it's just one of those drinks you drink outside, frozen or up, and it's delicious. On the rocks or frozen. Either way, it comes out pretty good. Janelle actually, my wife Janelle makes a mean margarita on the rocks, and she does. She's really got it down pat. She's worked on it quite a bit to get the ingredients just right. So I was sure to ask her before she took off for Texas on this trip. 2 ounces of silver tequila, 1.5 ounces of fresh squeezed lime juice, 1.5 ounces of OJ, 1 teaspoon of simple syrup, or 2 teaspoons of sugar substitute for those of you trying to keep your figures. I'd be doing the other one. Shaker of ice. Put the ingredients in. 2 ounces of tequila, 1.5 ounces of fresh lime, squeezed lime, 1.5 ounces of OJ, and a teaspoon of simple syrup. The simple syrup takes a little bit of the tequila bite out of it. If you like that bite, don't do it. Okay, so that's what that does. Takes just a little bit of the edge off of the tequila. Shake it like crazy on ice in a shaker. Rim your glass with salt, and then strain it into the glass. You can also do a regular double old-fashioned glass, the French working glass if you want to, and put it on the rocks in that. So instead of just drinking it straight on like a cocktail glass, you actually pour it back on the rocks and drink it that way. I think either way is really good. She makes a delicious margarita, and I'm not a huge tequila fan, and I really, really like it quite a bit. Frozen tequila, yeah. Well, you know what the frozen margarita is. That's the same thing as a pina colada, really. And by the way, you can buy the mix for that at the store, and you can make your own. All you're doing instead of putting rum in it is you're putting tequila in it. That's pretty much it. So before I sign off, thank you guys and gals for the notes, comments. Had a lot of them from the last few. I imagine this might do another one. So it's boat. So we did boats. We did boat food and boat drinks. I don't know. I'm going to have to work on this. The subject may change, but if I come up with something over the week, you all will be the first to know. So if you need to get a hold of me, email me at catchyououtdoors. That's catchyououtdoors@gmail.com. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. My podcasts are scheduled for each and every Tuesday. If you enjoyed listening, please tell a friend, leave a review. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Catch Outdoors is presented by the Waypoint Podcast Network and is available on Waypoint and many of your favorite podcast providers. Facebook page, Catch Outdoors. Websites, catchoutdoors.com and waypointtv.com. Until next time, get outdoors and enjoy.